Hello everyone, Trophy Wine Hunter. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a re-review of the Rivera 2013 Il Falcone. So I had done a review of this wine about 3 years ago. I did the 2014 vintage, and that was at a time when I was just doing videos and I was just opening my channel. So I'm going through my older reviews for two reasons. One, because it's been 3 years, and generally speaking, in my opinion, after 3 years, wine reviews are really not that accurate anymore. So I'm trying to re-review them. And then secondly, because when I first started this channel, it wasn't that good. I don't think it's really that good right now, but I think the quality of the audio and the actual camera is a little bit better. So I'm trying to replace some of these videos that I'm somewhat embarrassed about. So in my opinion, this is one of the great values of the world. Il Falcone Rivera, the winery, is such a notable winery, and it's gone up in price a little bit since I bought this wine a couple of years ago. The current vintage, I believe, is 2018 or 2019 or 2020 in the liquor stores. It's around $31 Canadian. Great price when you hear the history. The actual winery's name is called Azienda Vinicola Rivera. It's in the Puglia region of Italy. Italy looks like a boot. It's kind of at the heel of the boot. The winery was started in the late 40s, 1950s by the De Corato family, Andrea and Sebastiano. And then in the 80s, it was taken over by the son, Carlo. And Carlo had two sons, Marco and Sebastiano, who now run the winery. And I had the privilege of meeting Sebastiano, I think about a year or 2 years ago, and discussing his wines with him. I was really thrilled. He's a great person and very much passionate about wine and knows a lot about wine. Rivera is one of these top wineries in the Puglia region, and I know Puglia is associated with kind of value wines, but when you hear about the history of this winery, it's wonderful in terms of the quality they have, and it's almost unbelievable to me that it's at this price. Let's talk a little bit about the winery. So the winery is located in the region of Castel del Monte in Puglia. So Castel del Monte is named after a famous white castle or cathedral that was built by Frederick II in 1240, and that's really the big kind of tourist attraction, or big I guess attraction in that area. And so this winery was started in late 40s, 1950s. At that time, the region was started producing rosé wines, and then as it went on in time in the 60s to the 80s, white wine was more predominant in the region, and they started to produce in the 80s a little bit of red wine. But all along, even though they had been producing white wines and rosé wines, they did produce a red wine, which was their kind of their flagship wine. At that time, they labeled the wine Stravecchio or Riserva Speciale. Red wines were not that popular in that region for many years, and they actually grew it with a grape type called Nero de Troia, which is still the blend or the main grape of this wine right at this point. Having said that, in those days, they didn't really have a great understanding of Nero de Troia. So Nero de Troia is a very, very tannic grape. And so they were mostly rosé and white wine specialists, and just threw in kind of some expertise and tried to do some red wines. But they were so tannic and really not that drinkable. So if you go back to old vintages of this Stravecchio, they're not really that pleasurable. Turn the tables now to the 80s. So everything kind of changed for this region in 1971 when it got its DOC designation. In 1971, Carlo decided to rename their red wine in honor of this DOCG, so from Stravecchio to Il Falcone. And Il Falcone was named after Frederick II, who along with building this Castel del Monte, also was very interested in falconry. study of falcons. And so that's why it's called Il Falcone. The history of this wine is it was really, really tannic. I don't think they really knew how to make the wine. They kind of aged it in cement for many years. In 1971, they started to age it in a little bit of oak, but that was not predominant until the 80s or 90s. And they continued to work with this grape. They didn't want to go to other types of grapes. And in 2001, this region got DOCG status. So this winery continued to make wines with these grapes and started to learn how to kind of tame the Nero de Traro grape. And right now, the wine is now made 70% with Nero de Traro and 30% with other local grapes, mostly Montepulciano. Let you know how much care they take into this wine. They actually age the wine 14 months in oak. 50% is in barriques, 50% is in large barrels. Then, in addition, after that, they age it another 12 months in bottles. So they age it 26 months, over 2 years before they release this wine. And you got to remember, this is a value wine. This is, a $30 wine. So they've aged this tremendously. And to make sure that the Nero de Traro grape has a little bit more breathing time because it is a tannic grape. Let's look at the bottle. I did kind of throw away the cork. So this is El Falcone, Castel del Monte, which is the region. It is a Reserva because it's almost 26 months, 14 months in oak and 12 months in bottle. And Rivera is the producer. And then a little bit of information about the winery on the back. You'll notice it's 13.5% alcohol, but it tastes bolder than that. And look at the color. This is 10 years of age already on this wine. No signs of aging, so a beautiful color at this point. You're probably thinking to yourself, Trophy, it's a $30 wine. Why would you age it for so long? It's going to waste time in my cellar. Let me tell you, this is one of the exceptional values in the world. And this wine right now that I'm drinking, it's now 2013 wine, so it's 10 years. It's still very youthful. The tannins will outlast any flavors of the wine. It's a very strong tannic grape, and so tannins will not be an issue with this. And in fact, I think in its youth, it drinks a more difficult or more brutal, and so it does need some time. So let's taste the wine. Again, I've had this now open now for a couple of hours now. I had it with some friends and had tasted it. Now I've brought it back home, so it's really well aired. So on the aroma, it's beautiful. It's got the violets, it's got the plums, it's got floral components, maybe a little bit of berries, like red berries, red currants, almost a plum and herb type aromas. Very aromatic for this wine. And it's really mouth-watering. It's got some good acidity on it also. So the tannins are still very prevalent in this wine, although well tamed, good acidity. Now the fruits are coming out after 10 years. Lots of red fruit to me. When in its youth, it's much more dark fruits, like dark plums. Now it's red fruit, red currants, raspberries. And then on the aftertaste, some herbs, some Italian spices. Good long aftertaste. This would pair perfectly with pastas and a little bit of meat, like lamb or stew. It's right now drinking really nicely, and so that's what I recommend if you have a bottle of El Falcone. 7 to 10 years is really its drinking window when it's really, really nice. I think a little bit earlier, it's a little tannic for my taste buds, but at this stage, this is drinking just perfectly, and so I think this is at its peak. I think it'd drink another 3-4 years easily at this stage. Then I think that the fruit might drop off a little bit, but the tannins will still be there. But it's a delicious wine at this point. On the aroma, you know, when you get it in your mouth, you also get a sense of the aroma. So you do get a lot of fruit in this wine. And it's got some herb elements too, and some savory elements. So really delicious at this point. I'm not sure what the wine spectator rating is. I know it's over 90 points, probably 91, 92. I think it's there. I love this wine in terms of the price. I love the story of this winery. So I'm going to give this 92 points and really recommend it for anyone who is a value drinker. It's got a great story. It's a real high quality producer in a value region in Puglia. And they're really passionate winemakers. So hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy drinking.